Well, the Falcons season has ended on a sour note, losing to the San Francisco 49ers by a score of 28-24. And as a fan, it's always difficult to see your team lose, and of course the Falcons have to do it in such a grand style. You know, they come out with their hair on fire, and then in the second half it's like all of a sudden the team just transforms into a what do you even call it? Something that ain't fun to watch. You know, I mean, you look at the stats, Falcons had 100 more yards on offense. Matt Ryan had 400 yards passing. You know, he did have one pick, but you know, that San Francisco D created a lot of turnovers this year. Can't fault him for that, and they did lose a fumble too. You know, Falcons only had 2 penalties. They were both personal fouls, unfortunately. You know, they won time of possession. You know, the rushing wasn't terrible, and they still found a way to not score a single point in the second half. And all it would have taken was one touchdown. One touchdown, and we would be talking about this team in the Super Bowl. And that's unfortunate. But go over a quick QB comparison. Colin Kaepernick, 16-21, 233 yards, and that's an 11-yard per attempt average, which is pretty good. 1 touchdown, no picks. He was sacked once for 9 yards. Matt Ryan, 30-42 for 396 yards, for 3 touchdowns and 1 pick, and he did have 1 sack. Really, I mean, you can't ask for much more from him. I mean, if you're going to go ham, you might as well go ham, and Matt Ryan did. It's just a real shame that he couldn't put anything together in the second half. For rushing, you know, actually Jacquizz Rodgers had more carries than Michael Turner. He had 10 carries for 32 yards, which is okay. You know, and Turner had 8 carries for 30 yards. Would have maybe liked to have seen him run the ball a little bit more, but it wasn't working that well. On the flip side, Frank Gore ran all over us for 21 carries for 90 yards, and while Michael James had 5 carries for 34 yards. I'm actually really surprised that Colin Kaepernick didn't run all over us, but really, I mean, after what they did last week, you knew the Falcons would try and scheme for it. Really, tail of the tape for this goes to Julio Jones, had 11 catches for 182 yards. Really impressive, and Roddy White had 7 catches for 100 yards. I mean, can't fault either of those two. They both really showed up. Roddy White was targeted 15 times. You know, maybe would like to see him come down with a few more of those catches. I mean, the Falcons did have a chance at the end, and unfortunately, they just couldn't come away with it. So now, the Falcons will have to look forward to next season. You know, the draft coming up in a few months. Really interesting to see what they go with. I would expect them to go with a pass rusher, but we'll save that for another time. There's a quick recap of the Falcons-49ers Conference Championship game. Thanks for watching, and until next season, but always, go Falcons!